Here's something you don't usually see. 2v2. This is for the Furious 2 tournament. My clanmate Albertunga and I are going to be playing the two best 2v2 players in Shogun 2. They're absolutely the number one best. I think in this matchup it just depended on the map, the avatars that we chosen. This is a combination. This is mixed avatars, so we can use Fall of Samurai or Shogun 2, and great minds think alike in these situations, because at first I figured they would go Fall of Samurai because a lot of people like guns, and this map is pretty good for 2v2s. I mean, there's a choke point in between these two dojos, so I figured they would take advantage of that with a lot of guns. But my plan was to get my ally Albertunga to get his Shogun 2 avatar. It's like gold prestige, and he has a bunch of high vetted units like Nodachi, Yariash, and good cav units. But I told him to bring some very fast, cheap cav, like Yari cav, Fire cav, Light cav. He wanted to take Monk cav, Great Guard cav, but I said no, don't. It's really not that cost efficient, especially when we're going to be using guns, and guns will decimate anything at a cheaper cost, pretty much. It doesn't matter what cost your infantry, how much they costed you, but it didn't matter because you could take a very cheap white tiger force and just decimate any unit, no matter the price. So we just were thinking about the cost efficiency with cavalry. So our plan was to pretty much rush them, but they were thinking the same style as us. Tejo brought a Shogun 2 avatar, so he's going to bring lots of melee and cav. Not that many guns, but he did bring some matchlock units. That was very surprising, because I strictly told Albertunga don't bother taking matchlocks because it's pretty useless, since I'm going to be taking the guns, and matchlocks don't have the same number of men in their unit as a regular gun unit for Fall of Samurai. So I was like, nah, it's not a useful unit in these matchups, so don't even bother taking guns, just take melee and cav. That's kind of what they did, except Tejo brought a couple of matchlock units, matchlock Samurai, matchlock Warrior Monk. Killerfish, he's going to put most of his funds on his infantry, 150 range, Black Bears. He does have United States Marines, White Bears, and they have all their forces compact in a small formation, trying to take advantage of these choke points. And we're just doing our small harassments with our gun cav. They have 200 range Bojins, that's what Tejo likes to take. Killerfish has a 155 range Gunjin, and he was taking some easy shots against my Imperial Guard cavalry. So I had to run him away. These are very useful units in these matchups, good for harassing, because just going full bonsai into an opponent's army isn't going to be as easy, because he's going to have an ally to back him up. You can see their strategy though. It's a really nice formation that they're going with. If I decided to rush him, first he would give off some volleys, then Tejo would send up his forces to pin mine down. And these are some nice Nodachi too, just melee upgrades. And he doesn't have a leader gen, so he really doesn't give any extra buffs or bonuses to his melee troops that he really needs. Instead, he wanted that extra super duper harass unit called a Bojin with 200 range. Has 200 range wilting arrows, fire arrows. It has armor piercing arrows. It fires rapidly like a gun, but it's a bow, so it really doesn't do as much instant shock damage as a gun gen would do. So I didn't really think that was very useful, so I just told Albertunga to just take a leadership gen if he can, and he did. It's a highly vetted leader gen with standard fight, of course. So our strategy now is to just harass, exploit any weaknesses. Right now, the only weakness that we can figure out is that whomever loses their bow cav or their gun cav, really, because no one really has bow cav other than that Bojin that I shown you earlier. Where's that Bojin anyway? Where is it? Is it hidden? Because I know they could hide while they're shooting. Yeah, that's another nice little ability. Yeah, they're hiding somewhere around here. But the only weakness that we can spot is that pretty much whomever loses their gun cav first, or missile cav, whatever you want to call it, is going to have a really bad disadvantage in this matchup, because the other person is just going to keep shooting with their gun cav until you move up and attack. So our only option is to attack on this side. It's really not that It's kind of weak. There's a forest, so it'll give a lot of cover to his melee. And we were talking about it. We don't really talk in like a voice chat or nothing. We just speak each other through telekinesis. That's how good we are. I don't need to tell Alpertunga. I mean, he's Turkish anyway, so he doesn't understand what I'm saying. So we have to use telekinesis and, you know, mind control and, yeah, we're psychics, okay? We're psychics. So we have to use our mind reading ability to actually play in these 2v2s together. So Alpertunga's gonna poke and prod with his light cav. He's gonna do a counter charge with his Jerry cav. Upgraded melee attack, melee defense, charge, and armor. I think that's because we have the workshop, most likely. Is it over here? No. No, we don't have the workshop. I think that's just a highly vetted unit of his. Tejo's gonna try and send a Great Guard cav against my Imperial Guard cavalry. Remember, they're really desperate to kill off our gun cats so they can just harass our armies. That's the biggest threat to a large army. Just many skirmishing units just trying to create exploits in your army and then, you know, just trying to create imbalance. So Alpertunga knows he's not going to last in this melee fight against all this cav because these cav are very powerful just like his. Upgraded melee attack, plus Tejo and Killerfish really are good in 2v2s. They know how to mobilize and concentrate their units wherever they have the advantage on either side of the battlefield. Tejo's going to use his mounted gunners to just support in this little fight. Killerfish lost his Yari Key. Alpertunga is going to take his Yari Key, his Yari Cav, and go after these mounted gunners. They're kind of slow, so he will catch up, do a little bit of damage, but he's going to have to get out of the combat anytime soon because he's going to lose his Yari Key against this big old blob of Cav over here, and he has a reserve Yarikachi. Now, just to take the pressure off Alpertunga, I sent 3 of my Yari Key around at the rear of their armies, and this is a pretty bad decision on my part, but you'll see. I'm going to get it out of this situation unscathed, but they're going to take any reserve cav that they didn't use, Great Guard cav, light cav. They don't just throw all their cav into a cav fight. You don't want to do that. You want some cav in the late game. Most people don't realize that. If you have cav in the late game, then you won't have a stare down, you won't have to keep chasing your opponent if he's kiting. Just charge him with your cav and pin him down and all. But you want cav in the late game. That guarantees you a victory too. So we're just gonna... He's trying to chase me. I mean, they want to shoot me with their bow gens and their gun gens if they have them in the area, but the whole time I was harassing his gen. Every time he took out his gen from the safety of his guns and his spears, I just sent up my Imperial Guard cav to just take some shots at him, and now look at him. He's down to 6, and now he's not going to do that again. He's not going to take his gen out from the safety of his guns. So Tejo's going to scare all my cav units to the safety of this forest here. I'm not going to take much damage anymore, and he's going to call off his pursuit soon enough. So Alpertunga, I told him just, you know, go over here if you can. At first he wanted to charge down the middle. I was like, no, don't do that, okay. 150 range, Black Bear is taking some easy shots here. Got 14 kills, and I hope y'all noticed that my computer doesn't lag. This is the highest settings, the highest graphic settings. This is on my new computer too. So Alpertunga lost a Naginata attendant. Oh well, it served its purpose. It's a meat shield. Good job, meat shield. You did very good. Fantastic job. So we're gonna rush on this side. They're going to quickly readjust their forces, but it's kind of too late. I mean, we already have the advantage on this side. By the time this melee infantry of Tejo gets over here, which is his Nudachis, they're going to be tired. And Alpertunga, his entire army is already on this side of the battlefield. So you can see numerically we have the advantage. I'm going to reposition my forces. If you looked at the minimap from the start, before I showed you this, you can see our entire armies just shift on this side, and that gives us all the advantage. I'm going to shift all my melee down the center. That way, if they weaken their center to reinforce this side of the battlefield, I can start the engagement on the center. They're already doing just that too. Plus, I have a little bit of cover because there is a nice little slope here, so not all of my melee will be shot. But Alpertunga, he's going to do a mass blob of his Nodachi, Yariash against the melee of Tejo, and he's going to close in into the guns of Killerfish. And it's very hard to see because it's in the forest, so I'm going to go way high up. Killerfish and Albertunga are gonna do poking and prodding with their cav. They're gonna do a lot of harassment. So it looks like Albertunga's gonna use his depleted unit of Yeri cav over here. Cav fights are gonna swing in Killerfish's favor, but Albertunga already knows he's not gonna win the cav fight, so he's gonna try and get his cav into the guns of Killerfish just so they won't kite away. I'm gonna send my melee and my guns down the center. I'm gonna be facing pretty much half their army here with only half of mine, because some of my units over here too helping Albertunga, like my gun cav are helping him. It's a really nice combination of units, gun cav with melee. Over here my melee are really strong. I have 29 melee attack Shogatai, so I'm sure I could break on through, except he's sending cav now against my forces. So I was kind of scared at this point, because break our cav is a very dangerous unit. So I had to bring all my gun cav and my Yeri key to this side of the battlefield just to take care of this threat. Over here I'm facing a lot of pressure, so I was going to try and reduce this pressure by sending a Yeri key. That's going to keep one less cav unit off my unit, so that's not bad, I guess. I mean, even though I might lose my Yeri key. Albertunga is broke on this side of the battlefield, and he's going to continue his attack too. He's going to continue a sweep across this side of the battlefield. That way my forces will readjust and regroup, and then I can continue the pressure as well with him. But he's taking the pressure off me. Killerfish is trying to run away his guns. Same with Tajul. He does have matchlock units, and he's going to run him away as well. Surprisingly, these units didn't lose as much, but compared to these gun units can take those casualties while these can't. You really got to keep them in line. But all this melee, Jesus, look at all this melee just closing around the battlefield. That's a really scary sight. So all this melee is just going to crash into the guns of Killerfish here. This is really overwhelming, both for him and Tajul. It was really really heroic to see all these guns like fight to the death against these swords, but it's really useless because they're being overwhelmed. These white bears are routing down to 70 out of 150, and they're trying to just split up their units, do like multiple wave formations. That way, if one unit is blobbed up against, then the others can shoot from the side. And we just wanted to end this now. I broken through on this side of the battlefield as well. I just need to take care of this white bear to free up 3 of my units, then I can continue the pressure. A couple units of Killerfish came back from routing. I was kind of scared at this point because maybe they could have a comeback, and we have units at our rear. So I had to take my guns, these 2 guns over here, to deal with these threats at our rear. Plus I was kind of worried for Killerfish's general and his other units at the rear. So I was worried because, you know, suppression fire, we have a unit over here shooting at our backs, and I actually thought they had a chance to have a nice little comeback because we kept on blobbing up our units, and we weren't really using our numbers efficiently enough, but we were still doing a lot of damage. I sent my Imperial Guard cavalry into the melee against this mounted gunners just to get them off the field, because gun cav is a really scary unit. Even though we had gun cav of our own, we just didn't want to have those late game scenarios where we have melee, they have mobile gun cav, and we couldn't do anything about it. So all their units have routed. This is our armies that we have left. You can see it was very close, costly battle. They still have some units, but I think they conceded at that point. It was really no coming back after that. That was a costly victory. Gonna end that battle. Albertunga and I, we really don't consider ourselves like the greatest 2-2 team, but we just beat the greatest 2-2 team, so it wasn't a best of 3 or anything, it was a best of 1. I beat Tajul and Killerfish in 1v1 matchups before our 2v2. That was a part of the Furious 2 tournament. We had to do 1v1s first, then we had to go down to the 2v2 for the finals, and we became undefeated after. So this is our matchups. You can see that Albertunga and I focused primarily on numbers. We didn't lose as much as we killed, except for Albertunga, because in the late game he really did blob up all his units, so he really wasn't using his units as effectively. But you can see the numbers, that the damage, the kills, the losses deployed. Unit statistics, nothing really that significant for me. Just my Shogatai. I didn't really use my cav as efficiently. You can see they didn't even kill as much as they deployed. I guess I used my gun cav a lot better, because I had that freedom in range. This Tajul's army, his general killed a lot. He did have a bowgen, So did his match luck. That's unbelievable. Out of all the units in his army, his match luck's killed the most. Upper Tonga, his Yeri Ash killed the most? No way. Did certainly lose a lot, but still killed the most by 5. Let's look at Killer Fish. His most powerful units killed the most, of course. His 150s. His White Bears did pretty well. I mean, they didn't kill more than they deployed or killed more than they lost, but they still killed a lot. Alright, so that is it. That is a GG, and that is, we're through the first round of the Furious 2 tournament. Off to the second round. See y'all then.